All right, let's talk about something that can absolutely transform how teams get work done. We're going to unpack 6 essential business models. Now, think of them less as models and more as a shared language, a common blueprint that makes sure everyone on a project is building from the exact same set of plans. No more guessing.
I mean, haven't we all been there? You're sitting in a meeting, everyone's nodding along, and you feel that incredible sense of alignment. But then a week later, it all falls apart because you realize everyone had a slightly or wildly different idea of what the plan actually was. Well, that's the exact problem we're solving today. These models are all about replacing those dangerous assumptions with some real concrete clarity.
So, to figure out where you're going, you need a map, right? It's that simple. So, we're going to start with 3 models that help us chart a course through time, from where we've been to where we are to where we really want to go.
First up is the as was model. This is basically your historical snapshot. It's not about how things are now, but how they used to be at a very specific point in time. And this is so crucial for understanding old legacy systems or for figuring out why something broke in the past, so we can learn from our mistakes and not repeat them.
Okay, next we jump to the present. The as-is model. This is your brutally honest look in the mirror. It documents how things actually work right now, warts and all. This isn't what the fancy manual says should be happening, it's what's really happening on the ground. It gives you that absolutely essential baseline for any kind of improvement project.
And this is our destination, the to-be model. This is the vision. It's the blueprint for the future state that you're trying to build. Every single decision, every task, it should all be guided by this picture of the future. It's that clear, shared vision of success that keeps the entire team moving in the same direction. So when you put them all together, you can see the whole journey laid out so clearly. You've got the as was, which is our past, the as is, our present, and the to be, which is our future. These 3 models create a really powerful timeline, a story of evolution that everyone in the organization can actually see and follow.
But, just understanding time is only half the battle. We also have to navigate these different perspectives, or what I like to call different realities of any process. And believe me, this is where things get really, really interesting.
So let's meet the ought to be model. This is your true north. It's that perfect world scenario, the one based on best practices, where you completely ignore today's constraints like budget or technology. It's not about what's possible right now. It's all about defining what perfect looks like to guide your long-term vision.
Of course, we can't just live in a dream world, right? We have to get practical. And that brings us to the as-agreed model. This is the nuts and bolts plan. It's the contract, the service level agreement, the virtual handshake. This is the documented process that all the stakeholders have negotiated and formally signed off on. It sets clear, shared expectations for everybody.
And finally, we get to our ground truth, the as-performed model. Now, this isn't based on hopes or dreams or even agreements. It's built from cold, hard data. We're talking system logs, user analytics, real-world observations. It shows you what is actually happening out there, revealing all the clever workarounds and unexpected detours people take just to get the job done. And listen, this right here is probably the most important part of this whole thing. That gap, the one between the as-agreed plan and the as-performed reality, that's not a failure. No way. It's an incredible source of insight. Understanding that gap is where the real innovation happens. It's where your processes get stronger, and it's where the work of continuous improvement really begins.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, creating all these models sounds complicated, like a job for a few PhDs locked in a room somewhere. And yeah, traditionally it was. But something really powerful is happening. We're seeing a shift to put these tools directly into the hands of the people who are actually doing the work every day. This quote just hits the nail on the head. When modeling is left to a small group of specialists, you only capture a tiny fraction of an organization's collective brainpower. The real expertise, the real knowledge, is so often with the people on the front lines, and all of those brilliant insights just get lost. So here you can see the 2 philosophies right next to each other. The old way, top down, is all about control, but it's slow and often totally disconnected from reality. The future is this bottom-up approach where everyone contributes. It empowers people, it captures that real-world knowledge, and it builds a culture of constant collaborative improvement. And this is how that bottom-up knowledge actually grows up, so to speak. It can start with just one little insight from one person, That idea gets shared, it gets kicked around and refined by the team, and then it's transformed into a formal model. After it's tested in a pilot, it can become the new official standard. It's just such a powerful path from one person's insight to the whole organization's wisdom. Okay, so let's tie all of this together. We've looked at models for understanding time and models for understanding these different realities. How do they all work together to create one complete, coherent picture? This table just lays it out perfectly. You really have two dimensions, two lenses to look through. On one axis, you have the temporal dimension, which maps that journey from the past to the present to the future. And on the other, you have the normative dimension, which is all about understanding the gaps between our ideals, our agreements, and what actually gets done. At the end of the day, these 6 models are so much more than just diagrams you put in a presentation. They create a shared language. They give you a framework for having the right conversations, for moving your teams from a state of confusion to a state of total clarity, and for turning those big, abstract goals into concrete, achievable action. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. In your own work, on your own team, what's the biggest gap between your as-agreed plan and your as-performed reality? Really think about it. Find that gap. Because understanding it, well, that's the very first step toward making everything better.